Let me know if there's a problem. Okay, so we're looking at this. Okay. So that's the tests number 2, productivity test 2. Of course, I posted and left some feedback for your tests. So if you didn't have any feedback on your tests, meaning you did a great job. So if you had some problem and you just took over some point off, then you'll see the feedback. For example, you made a mistake on certain functions and you didn't do certain parts and things like that. Okay. So this is the set number 1. Again, tests number 2 we had. And using this data set, it's really not that long, only 6 or 7 different set. Then we have a multiple column. So we're trying to find out turnover percent here, right there, using this turnover and total. So they're meaning that take turnover divided by total. So that would be turnover percent. Then at the bottom, which is this number will take average of those. I'm just showing as a formula view. Average of those turnover percent, then when round to the nearest, round to the 1 decimal place. Okay, so that's what we have. Then we're going to rank column I. So we have a bunch of numbers on budget. So we're going to rank those numbers. But this time we're going to rank the what they call descending order. No, is it ascending order? Yeah, ascending order, meaning that the smallest number get the number one position. Okay, so that's why you got number 1 at the end on this rank function, right? So 14, I14, then you highlight entire column, then there's a 1 indicating the order is reversed. Okay, so that's why you get the number 1 rank for the smallest amount. Okay, so that's a rank function. Then we have a VLOOKUP. So with VLOOKUP area that we're trying to use this area, okay, entire area up to J, I believe. Yeah, J. So based on this range, so we're going to use this ICU as a sample record, which is located right here, column A. So ICU, so we use that. So using this ICU, we're going to retrieve the corresponding value for each item, each column. For example, ICU is intensive care, how many MDs, how many RNs, support, and so forth. That's why we're trying to retrieve, okay, using VLOOKUP. So that was the question. And there you go. So VLOOKUP M14, that's ICU, then highlight those lookup range, comma, then number 2 indicate column index number, meaning that there's the second column from the left. So this is the one we're trying to retrieve. So that's why you have number 2 right here. And at the end, we have false because this is the exact match, meaning that there will be only 1 matching record for ICU. The only difference for the rest of the column is just column index number, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way. Okay. So that was VLOOKUP function. And then if function, there's if function. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use turnover percent. Is that right? H, yeah. So we're looking at turnover percent. Then this turnover percent is greater than 20%, then we're going to show as a high turnover. And that percent is greater than 10%, normal, then less than 10% will show as a low turnover. Okay, so that was the question. So it's not just, binary, but we have more conditions, 3 conditions actually. So if we have any questions. Right, so where's my stuff? Oh gee, I just passed. There you go. Okay. All right. Set number 2. Creating charts, right? Creating line chart, column chart, pie chart, histogram, combination chart. Okay. One thing you need to do before this column E, okay, it was I think it was only 20. It was not percentage, right? It was general, okay? So that's what the first step, which is step 0 is asking, okay? So I'm gonna just, it was general. Not even decimal places. It was 20, 15, 18, and so forth, okay? So that was the case. So we want to convert this general number to percentage. Well, if you just convert right away, then you're going to have like 20,000 or 2,000%, right? So that's not what we want. So the way you want to do, okay, we have only 20 or so that you can manually type it in, right? 20%, that will work. 15%, 18%, that's fine, okay? Or if you like it, it's not 20, if you have 200, 2,000, you cannot do it, right? Like it's taking too long. So the way you want to do is just convert it. Actually, I already converted, right? So take this number and just multiply by 0.01, right? So that'll give you decimal place, then you convert to the percent. But the reason we're having this is it happens a lot. It happens a lot when you receive the data from outside, whatever the imported file, just, the format is not right. It says percentage, but it doesn't show as a percentage data format. So you need to convert. So that's kind of, hypothetical data set we have. So let me put it back. Okay. So that was the step 0, just converting to percentage from general number. Then I was creating a line chart, column chart, pie chart, histogram. And you can see, this looks good. Pie chart, okay. I think some of you had a problem with the pie chart. So pie chart using sales and all region, right? So we're going to highlight. Insert. Recommended chart. Go to pie chart. It shows it, but the region is repeated, so this doesn't make sense, right? So I think some cases it's showing the Excel does a good job, but this time does not. So either you just organize manually. I think this is what they did. Or another way is you are creating pivot table, which is kind of desirable. You go to insert, pivot table, then click OK. So it'll give you a new worksheet so that you can work with, what was that we want to use? Sales, yeah. region and sales, right? Yeah, there you go. So as soon as you select those two columns, I think it's a little bit too small. There you go. So as soon as you select region and sales, then it'll show this pivot table by organized, just like that. Then let's see, I think it'll work. You can either go to insert, then show pie chart, or you can just stay here in this pivot table analyze option, then select pivot chart right here, okay? And then you have a pie chart. There you go, that's your pie chart. Of course, it's taking some steps, so you need to go through pivot table and all that. So that's the one way to do it, okay? It's not the only one way, but this is one way to do it. Then you show the label outside and percentage, so forth. Right? So that's pie chart. I'm sure you guys can create other chart. A column chart, line chart, histogram, combination chart. Wait a minute. Let's see combination chart. Okay. Combination chart. So if you look at combination chart, so go to design, then you go chart type. So that's what you need to do in terms of combining two different chart type, one for column, the other for line. Then you select secondary axis for profit so that you have this line chart is reading the vertical, the right side vertical axis. Okay. So that's your combo chart. And set number 3, using workday and net workday functions. So workday is trying to find the next working day because we need to exclude holidays and weekends. So workday, whatever the date, and then you enter how many days from this day, then it'll return the exact date that you're going to return from. Okay. And the other one, network days, and we're trying to find out how many working days between two different dates. Okay. Again, because of holidays and weekends. So that's kind of unique functions using days. So one is workday and the other one is network days. And then I think one more question about pie chart, so that you can create a pie chart using gender. Here's the gender. Insert community chart or chart, pie chart. So again, the pie chart doesn't give you right away. You can do it manually, enter into here. For example, oops, gender. Then you get into this select data. Then you manually enter from here, this side and the other side. But it's going to take a while to figure it out. So that's not the best way. Probably a better way is just, again, you can count them. Okay, if you're not sure how to use pivot table, you count male in this example, female, okay, oops. So how many males? So you count them quickly, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say 20. How many female? You count them, maybe 10. Then with this, you can create a pie chart pretty quick, right? So come into a pie chart distributor, just like that. But that's when you can count them, right, quickly. But If you have like thousands, this is impossible. So that's why you want to do it. You want to use pivot table. Go to Insert tab, Pivot Table, click OK. Then there's a new worksheets to create a pivot table. So you want to choose gender. Then you need to once again include this gender into value section, meaning that this value section will calculate or do some statistical calculation. So you can even count. This is the count function. If you want to do something different calculation, you click that and go to value field setting right here. Then there's a different calculation you can do, right? Count, average, maximum, minimum. So leave it as a count so that it can count how many males, how many females. So with this, you can create a pivot, chart, pie chart, just like that, okay? So that's another way to create a pie chart. All right? So any questions so far? Okay, so let's move to the project 3. So this is more of application based rather than just going over step by step. Well, of course there are some steps you need to follow, but we can actually apply to real world example, right? Something like amortization problem. I think accounting, finance, even other courses, they do some of this calculation. And so there's some functions we need to know before we do this so that we can find the monthly payment. So one of them is, I think we don't require this chart, right? So I'm going to just delete it. PMT function. Sorry, they're kind of small right here. PMT function. So PMT function will return payment for whatever the period. So it can be monthly payment, could be biweekly payment, it could be 6 months, but depending on how you will set up the period. Okay, so payment will return the payment amount. And the other one we have is CUMI-PMT. So that's cumulative interest amount. Kind of they make it as a CUMI-PMT. Okay, so we'll try to find out the interest amount for that period. Actually, not that period, the whole period. Okay, if it's 3 years, for the 3 years. 10 years, amortization, then 10 years interest amount. That's the second function we learned from this example. Okay, so the setup was, so you choose whatever the automobile that you wanted, you need to use the whatever kind of vehicle. So this person choose the Nissan GT, pretty cool one. And then you find the lenders out there. So it can be online, could be credit union or bank. So and select that. Then you find the interest rate. Actually, this is annual. So this is annual interest rate. Okay, then we're going to find monthly payment for the 3 years, 4 years, 6 years. Okay, using PMT function. So here's a PMT function works. So in PMT, you need to find interest rate for the period, meaning monthly, because we are doing monthly, 36 months, 48 months, 60 months. So we need to calculate the monthly interest rate. So take annual, divide by 12. So that's why we have here. If it's like a bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, then it's going to be divided by 24, right? So depending on the period you try to calculate. So annual interest rate divided by 12 give you monthly interest rate. And D8 indicates total month, which is 36, okay, comma, D14. D14 is the amount, the total amount. I mean, what they call present value, or the amount you're borrowing, right? So that's D14. So pretty simple, 3 variable, but just don't forget the interest rate must be divided by 12 to get the monthly interest rate. And the reason we have a dollar sign, which is absolute reference, so that I can drag it, okay? But you don't have to do it. You don't have to have all this dollar sign because we have only 9 cells. So you don't, if you're kind of confused with this dollar sign, you don't have to have a dollar sign. You just have it without it, then you just type it in each column, each cell, that will be fine. Okay. So that's what you're going to get. And that's the amount for each month. Look at that, the monthly payment is so big. It's just bigger than my monthly check, looks like. So huge for 36 months, for example. And then you need to check the number before you move on, because sometimes the number may not be correct after all. Then you move on to the next step that will kind of mess up everything. So check this number whether it makes sense, because the vehicle is so expensive, so this is okay. But let's say the automobile is like only $20,000, right? Then you have a monthly payment is $5,000. Doesn't make sense, right? So that's something you need to check before you move on to the next step. Then once you find the PMT, which is monthly payment, then we're going to move on to here, lowest monthly payment. What we're trying to do is we identify the lowest monthly payment out of this 9 scenario. In this case, the lowest is right here, 3,386, because it's 60 month, and the lowest annual interest rate, right? It's pretty obvious. So we're trying to see whether we can even reduce this monthly payment by increasing 12 months. So that's what we are doing. So instead of 60 months, we are giving 72 months and calculating monthly payment. See how much we can reduce the monthly payment. So PMT goes like that. C18 divided by 12, that's the annual interest rate divided by 12. D18, that's the total month. In this case, 72 months, because there's something we're trying to test by increasing 12 months. Then D14, that's the automobile price. Okay. So that's something we kind of try to see how this monthly payment goes down. Then at the bottom, here's what we're trying to come up with in terms of interest amount. Okay. Now we're trying to calculate the interest amount for the highest monthly payment and lowest monthly payment. Okay. For the highest monthly payment, which is 5,560, we're trying to calculate total amount you pay for, which is monthly payment times total month. That's the D9 times D8. Then interest amount paid. That's the total amount paid for the car minus D14, which is the automobile price. So that'll basically give you how much you pay for how much interest amount you pay based on this payment system. Assuming there are no other fees, of course. Okay. Then so we have this number, but we try to confirm whether this number is correct. So that's why we are doing CUMI-PMT. So we try to calculate the total interest amount for this first scenario. So here's the syntax of CUMI-PMT. We have a couple of more, I think we have two more, three more actually, three more variables after PMT. So up to here is exactly same as the PMT function, but starting number 4 position, again, let's just start from the first position. Again, annual interest rate divided by 12, and D8, that's the total month, and then D14, that's the automobile price. Number 1 indicate the starting period. So here means you have 36 months. So number 1 means the first month, and number 36 meaning the last month. So you need to show the first month, the last month. Comma 0, that's the you're paying upfront. I mean the beginning of the month and end of month. So depending on, so it can be 0 or 1. Okay. So again, that's number 1 is the first month, 36 is the last month, because we are doing 36 months scenario. Okay. The same thing here. Only difference is here, first month is 1, last month is 60, because we're doing 60-month calculation. Okay. So that there you go. Keyboard was not working. So that we can confirm these two amounts are identical. Okay. So that's the reason we're having this CUMI-PMT. Any question about this? Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So any question on the project 3?
No, I don't think I have any questions about this project, but I am glad that you, for the last exam that we had, I am glad that you went over that, because I was unsure on why the pie chart wasn't forming. I was like, what is going on? But now I know what I did wrong.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. Okay, so no question about project, okay? Let's take a look, then XLOOKUP. Okay, I think by this point, most of you heard enough about VLOOKUP, right? And there's probably a little confusion about XLOOKUP and VLOOKUP, because chapter 7, chapter 6 or 7, talks about XLOOKUP, but probably few of you couldn't use XLOOKUP because it only available on certain editions. But I guess there'll be very few people, just only a few people still using 2019, Office 2019, right? I think most of you using 365 or Office 2021. Hi. But, again, can happen. So let's take a look. XLOOKUP, by the way. So XLOOKUP is the latest lookup function Microsoft came up with a few years ago. And it's more versatile because if you look at VLOOKUP, there's a limitation. One limitation is only can look up from left to right. There's no way it's going to look up to the left of the worksheets, if you recall. Right? So as always, you line up your worksheets from left to right. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Right? So that's the limitation. And also, the column is fixed, meaning you create a VLOOKUP, then you insert new column, then your VLOOKUP will not work any longer because you just had a new column inserted and your column index number is out of order, right? So that's another disadvantage. And also, you have to use, horizontal lookup, right? Horizontal lookup versus VLOOKUP if your data is organized, vertically or horizontally. There are a few downside of VLOOKUP. So that's why they come up with XLOOKUP. So XLOOKUP, the way you're going to use XLOOKUP is, let's say we have this data set here, okay? Item, price, item sold, amount, and sales rep, okay? So we're trying to retrieve matching record for the Carolina is located in column E. So the way you're going to do is almost very similar as a VLOOKUP. So first variable, that's the data that you're trying to find a match. You can use the actual record or text number, or you can just use the cell reference, comma, then you indicate where this Carolina is located, which column actually. So you highlight the entire column, which is E to E8, comma, then next thing you're going to do is you're going to show where the matching record is located. So not the column number, but actual column index, right? D2 to D8, actual cell references. So that just in case you insert a new column, there's no confusion, right? But if it's VLOOKUP, you're going to show column index number, then it's going to match up if you create a new column with current data. So that's a simple XLOOKUP. That's our next example. Then what if there's a no match, right? So that's what we have some optional, what they call match mode and search mode. So you can have only three variables, or you can have 5 variables. Okay, so after the third one, you can have it the match mode, either enter 0, -1, 1, or you can show it as a missing, meaning that there's no match, then you're going to show it as a missing. Okay, the comma, then number 1 is matching mode. 0 is exact match, but if again it's not found, then it'll show as a not available. Okay, then if it's -1 in this what is the 5th position, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5th position, then if nothing found, it'll return the next small item. And if you had it 1 instead, then it'll, in case there's no match, then it'll show next larger item. So it's pretty flexible, right? So that's the matching mode. Then there's a search mode, which is the last position. If you have a 1 in the search mode, then it'll search the item from the top. And if you have a -1, it'll search from the bottom. Because sometimes there's duplicates. Right? You have 2, 3 same values appear for the same person. Then, it can be confusing. Then you can just search one more time to go reverse from the bottom or from the top. So that's the search mode. Actually, this is the case. Sarah because there are two Sarahs. See that? So that's why we have it -1. So they just search from the bottom. Okay. And you can also do the horizontal matching. So you don't have to change like a XH lookup or it's the same X lookup, but the only thing you do is just indicate where this in this example where the price is located. So price is located A2 E2. So there's the area that Excel will look up, and then A2 E8 entire area will be kind of a area they're looking for. Okay, so they will find a match for the price because it's horizontally, laid out for this third variable, which is A2 E2. Oops. So XLOOKUP, as you can see, is more versatile, and again, you can look up to the left, doesn't matter right, even vertically and horizontally. Hope it helps a little bit. Any question? All right, so as announced, we have only one so far, but hopefully more coming. So we have a person who successfully passed Microsoft certification exam. It's a great job. And I think she made a pretty good point because this I think is 70%, 70 percentile, 75 percentile. That's the passing grade. So if anybody like to take the certification exam and have a questions, let me know so that I can help you out. All right. And also the class evaluation started, I believe. So hope you can take a time and give us some comments, something that we can improve. I'll be appreciated. All right. Any question? Oh. Or just if you have any trouble, problem, just let me know first, okay? And we'll somebody's trying to type it in. Okay. All right. So I guess that's it. We'll see you next time.